Season goal. Feel like for about the fourth year in a row, I feel like we can make the playoffs. I don't know if we're gonna commit to that again. And let's take a look at the 2028 Miami Dolphins. Shedeur Sanders, no more, traded to the New York Giants for Marvin Harrison Jr. and a couple of future picks. That means we turn the reins over to Julian Sayin. We signed Zach Wilson as the full-time backup. I believe we signed him for like 4 or 5 seasons, something like that, so he's going to be around a while. And we did draft Jack Moynihan for the second franchise in a row. We'll see if he sticks around this time, or if we won't be able to afford him a little bit later on. Devon Achane, yet another year as the feature back at age 26. We did sign Blake Corum in the offseason, 27 years old, 81 overall. Hopefully get a couple good years out of Blake, and hopefully some playoff runs as well. Will Doyle is back for another year at fullback. Tyreek Hill retired, so that means it is finally Jalen Waddle's spot. At age 29, he's finally the best receiver on his team. Marvin Harrison Jr. brought in. Tetsuo McMillan back for year 4. Ben Perez, primarily our kick returner, but he can catch some balls too. Isaiah Bond, we almost cut him, but he barely survived. Caleb Palmer, a project wide receiver, is 24 years old, 71 overall. His catching is actually pretty good, but his route running is still pretty bad. If we can get that route running up this season, Caleb Palmer could very well be wide receiver 4 by the end of the year. We will see, because Bond and Perez do not have that star development. So there's a chance. It's a slim chance, but there is one. Tight ends. Colston Loveland, still tight end number 1. Trent Douglas now solidly at tight end 2. And by the end of the year, I think Loveland and Douglas will swap. I still want to keep all of these guys, but Douglas is so much... He's clearly going to be the number 1 tight end here before too long. Caden Proctor, an absolute stud, 23 years old, 84 overall at left tackle. We got a pretty good backup in Rasheed Walker as well. Casey Newton, his first full year starting at left guard. Andrew Farr up to an 80 overall, our young 24-year-old center. Drew Hansen, he gets to start, I believe, for his second season at right guard. John Runyon backing him up. Elijah Pritchett, been on this line longer than any of the other ones, up to a 78 overall at 24 years old. Williams Nwaneri, Defensive Rookie of the Year winner last year. That X Factor already up to an 89 overall, and we made him a focus player, so he is going to have quite a season of growth, I would imagine. Bear Alexander, 25 years old, 87 overall. Sam Williams, pretty good backup, and James Houston. One of these guys is probably going to be on the depth chart over here backing up Nwaneri if anything were to happen to him. David Horn, DeAndre Colbert, and Kalen Edwards are the defensive tackles. No more Jamario Barkley. We sent him packing. We cut a lot of star development players. It's the unfortunate thing, but we've drafted really well to the point that we don't need the low ones much anymore. I'm really kind of only holding on to the receivers because I've got so much invested in them at this point. Jalen Phillips is 29, and his time is coming for regression. We got a couple more years that we can get good play out of him, I think, and I White will be sitting here waiting for the moment that he does not, if all goes according to plan. Same with Patrick Queen, 29 years old, 91 overall. Deontay Elam is not necessarily going to be the starter when we do lose Patrick Queen, because we did just draft in the 7th round Emmett Black. It's going to take a few years to get him decent enough to the point that you'd feel comfortable with him starting, but I think we can do it. E.J. Verdon will start at right outside linebacker here, as we didn't bring back Bradley Chubb. Corners, what a surprise we had. We signed Kendall Fuller to be corner number 2, 3, somewhere in there, but then we also drafted Trey McNutt, and he starts out at an 83 overall, which was a surprise to me, which pushes Cam Smith all the way down to 4th on the depth chart. It's unfortunate, one of the originals out here in Cam Smith, but it is what it is. Shiloh Sanders starts again at safety. We drafted Kendall Daniels Jr. here as a backup. We drafted him as a strong safety, moved him over. TJ Tampa will be the starter at strong safety. Josh Proctor, once again, barely surviving roster cuts, will back up over there. Daryl Pitts here as well. Mevis and Taylor, once again, the special teams unit. And that is your 2028 Dolphins roster. All right, week 1 of the 2028 season. We're not going to mess with the depth chart yet because I think N.I. White's going to be the starter for this game, and he's got a breakout. So we're going to hopefully leave that the way it is. However, I do want E.J. Verdon starting at left outside linebacker, or right outside linebacker. So I don't know why it wouldn't just give it to Verdon. That seems very strange to me, but we're going to try. It's not going to work, Lord knows. Week 1 versus Buffalo, though. This is going to be a good pace setter for our season. Even if we lose, I think as this season goes along, this team will get better as our young guys just continue to grow and grow. Early on, this team has never started well. We have not had one good start to a season. It's always through like 4 weeks, we're like 1-3 or 2-3 or whatever. Never start off with a winning record. See if we can't get that big week 1 win against Buffalo, who we seem to face in week 1 a lot. All right. It's a loss. Again, but it's a close loss. Only by 3 points to the Buffalo Bills. Like I said, I think we can get hot towards the end of the year. I think it might take this team a little bit of time. Also, one thing I forgot to do is take a look at the schemes. We might have a miserable scheme fit. And we don't have a good one. But it's about as good as we're going to get. Oh, there's a 70%. We'll try that. And then defensively, there's a 77% fit. So we'll do that. Run the 4-3. And week 2. Cincinnati Bengals won their first game of the year. And they come to Hard Rock Stadium here. Like I said, this Dolphins team always starts slow, but hopefully as the year goes along, we'll get better and better, be able to win some games. Be nice to go 1-1 to start the year. Maybe go on a little bit of a run. I don't know. This division is just shaping up to be every single team in the division might be a bit of an issue for us. So even if we make the playoffs this year, there's no guarantee we make it like consistently over the years, because I really feel like all of these teams are in very similar spots. However, the Bills are probably nearing the end of their window with Josh Allen, so we do have that going for us. But week 2 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Can we win it? Sure can't. 10-point loss. Dolphins start the season 0-2, and we've got an injury. And it's Shiloh, fresh off an upgrade, and he's out for 5 weeks. Week 3, Dolphins have started the year 0-2. It's our typical miserable start. I'm hoping it turns around at some point in the year. We got New England here. Caleb Williams up to a 92 overall. They got a better quarterback for now in this matchup. Let's see if we can't finally get into the win column here, because the Snowhawks, formerly the Jets, are 2-0. We are already digging ourselves a hole. What is it going to take with this team? 0-3. One of these years, we're going to get a good start, right? One of them? 18 players are up for contract negotiations here. Let's see who they are. On the bright side, we got a boatload of cap. $133 million. This is why we saved a lot of that cap space last season, because a lot of our players that we want to keep around are up for contract negotiations. We also have options at the end of the year on David Horn, Caden Proctor, and Casey Newton. Don't think we're going to do those. Not a lot of interest here. It's going to take some work to get Travis Hunter re-signed, I have a feeling. Let's give him a player-friendly offer off the start. Should be able to get him as time moves on. Patrick Queen. In a perfect world... Oh, he's on a neutral offer. Let me try and offer him a 3-year deal through his age 32 season and see if it works. Yes, good. Actually, that might be through age 33. Bear Alexander, obviously we want to keep him around. doesn't really want to re-sign, so we'll player-friendly him too. Oh, boy. Waddle. Thankfully, Jalen Waddle wants to be here. So we'll give him a neutral offer. That should be fine, and it is. But down already to $65 million in cap. We're going to... Jesus. A lot of these guys are not taking our initial offers. McMillan here, we can give him a neutral deal. He's down still at an 81, so this isn't going to be that expensive. Hopefully we get some more growth out of him. Tetsuo McMillan is re-signed. But, I mean, Hunter, Bear, Shiloh, they have all said no. N.I. White, we don't want to lose him. And he's back. That's good. Eventually, the time will come where we will need him. Colston Loveland. Offer is at least tempting him. We're down to $40 million in cap. On the bright side... We've signed pretty much everyone that we want back desperately outside of Elijah Pritchett. And he's back. So that gives us $33 million in cap room to negotiate still with Hunter, Bear, Shiloh, Loveland. Isaiah Bond just might be let go. Deontay Elam we could probably get back at a pretty cheap deal. We'll do that. Anyone else? Nope. Pretty much all set there. But we will need to work on re-signing these four. This team does it to us every single year. We start miserably, and we've done it again. We're getting the Bills out of the way early. 2 matchups with them in the first 4 weeks. They beat us week 1. Can we finally get in the win column, or are we starting 0-4? No, we are in the win column indeed. But more divisional matchups ahead as now we take on Oklahoma City. And week 5, a massive week indeed. We got everyone that we wanted to get re-signed. They're back for next year. 8 players currently will go to free agency. We have the cap space probably to bring everyone back, if we really wanted to, but I think at the moment I'm going to leave that as it is. And a big week for upgrades as well, especially to a lot of our projects, like Caleb Palmer, Emmett Black, our 7th-round pick from this past year. Big week for upgrades there. And now week 5. The Oklahoma City Snowhawks. They are 2-2. We're 1-3, but we're coming off a big win against the Buffalo Bills, hoping that this team gets on a roll now. And we don't wait until, like, week 10 when we absolutely have to win if we want to have a shot at a playoff spot. Like, that's the thing, is that every single year we suck for the first half of the season, and then we try and come back and then just miss it. Just miss the playoffs. If we can start getting on a roll now, this season could have a very different feeling to it. But this Snowhawks defense is still elite. Still got Sauce Gardner. Still got Quinnen Williams. So we'll see if our young offense can handle that. Woohoo! Not only that, our defense really stepped up there. I know they got a rookie quarterback, but for a 14-7 win to get us a game under 500, we take that. They beat us already once this year in our stadium. Now we try and do to them what we did to the Bills. Lose in our own stadium and then come into yours and beat you there. We'll see if we'll see if this team can't do that. To get back to 500 at this point in the season would be massive. I'm liking what I've seen out of this team the last 2 weeks. To crawl out of 0-3, we're now 2-3. Come on, boys, win one, win a big game. Oh, this team feels a little bit different. In years past, we would have won one of those first 2 games in weeks 4, 5, and 6. Lost the next one, and then who knows? We probably would have lost this one too, and fallen to 1-5. But we crawl out of the 0-3 hole and make our way to 3-3. However, now we face Baltimore, and I don't think this team is quite ready to compete with Baltimore, but we're certainly going to give it a go. Week 7, Baltimore Ravens. This team has had our number every time we faced them. Miami's on a roll right now. Started 0-3. We've won our last 3. This could be a statement game one way or another as the Baltimore Ravens come to our stadium this time. I don't expect a win, but I would be real thrilled if we did win it. This might just be the year we finally break through. A 37-31 win over Baltimore. We've won 4 in a row after losing our first 3 games. And now are tied at the top of the division with the Snowhawks and the Bills. Week 8, our first trip to Austin, Texas to take on formerly the Cleveland Browns, now the Austin Redwoods. They're 1-6. They've got a young offense that hasn't really broken out yet. Dylan Raiola is the quarterback. They got a hidden development running back as well. So they're going to be a problem later on for somebody, and maybe even us down the road. But probably not this season. They got a good defense, at least in terms of overall, but that secondary, at least according to the weekly strategy, is just getting torched right now. So if that remains true in this simulation, we should get a win here and go to 5-3. Ugh. Well, week 9. It's our second straight game against a relocated team. Lions have moved to Memphis and become the Bulls. A tough 1-point loss to the Redwoods in week 8. Gotta hopefully get back on track here. Don't want to throw away all the good work we did. Got our bye week in week 10. Let's go into our bye week feeling good about ourselves and over 500. Right when I think this team is on the cusp of having their breakout, we lost to a team that was 1-6, and we lost to a team that I think was 2-4-1, something like that. Man. Finally into week 11, the Rams are 1-8. We have lost to some pretty miserable teams the last few weeks. We're back under 500 at 4-5. Gotta beat the Rams here with the Snowhawks coming up in week 12. Otherwise, this season's going off the rails yet again. Playoff picture's a couple weeks away. Let's see if we can get over 500 before that happens. Better. 35-21 win over the Rams. It's not the defensive performance I would have loved to see, but dub. All I care about. A big Week 12 game in the grand scheme of things. To get to 6-5, be within 1 game of the division, especially because we tied the season series with the Bills. We lost to Oklahoma City the first time out. We have got to beat them here. And if we do, I don't know what's going to happen in the standings. There's a chance there's like a 3-way tie at the top. If both we beat the Snowhawks here and the Bills lose. It's a long shot, but there's still a long way to go in this season. To get back over 500, 5-5, we're just kind of so mid right now. We need one of these signature wins mid-season, man, to really set ourselves apart and really just start heading in the right direction. Because right now, this season is playing out just like every other season we've simulated with this Dolphins team. We need a big win. Haha, not only is it a big win in terms of how big it is to win that game, it's a 33-14 win over the Snowhawks. The Bills did win, so we're a game behind them in the AFC East. But it is Week 13, which means we finally get a playoff picture. I don't expect to be in it as of yet, but we're going to take a look. And we are not. Tennessee, our opponent this week, is, as they lead their division as the current 4 seed, the worst division leader in the playoffs as we stand. Week 13, we're coming off a massive win against the Oklahoma City Snowhawks in Week 12. This is a division leader we're playing here, but keep that momentum. Don't screw up everything you just did by losing this game. That's the last thing we need. This offense is finding their groove, a 35-21 win, and the Bills lost, which means as things stand, the Dolphins lead the AFC East, which would make us the 2 seed. I like it a lot. Week 15 against the Arizona Cardinals. Complete opposite records. They're 5-8. Got to keep this going. Can't slip up. Both Oklahoma City and Buffalo are waiting if we do as we get into the late stages of this season. Dolphins have rebounded nicely from yet another bad start, but this is the first time that we're getting towards the late portion of the season. You feel good about making the playoffs. It's not a lock yet. If we go on a skid, we could very easily miss the playoffs. We lose out, we could finish under 500. Believe it or not. To go 9-5 and almost assuredly make the playoffs. It's a close win, which I don't love, but we win, and both Oklahoma City and Buffalo lose. They are 500 at 7-7. We are looking really good to win the AFC East right now. Week 17, we lead the division by 2 full games over the Buffalo Bills. A win in Week 17. The AFC East is ours. We have not clinched the playoff spot, believe it or not yet. But even if we lose, I feel like that might just happen. There's probably a very strange scenario in which we could miss the playoffs. But one more win, and we're good. Not only is it a win, that might be the first shutout any of my teams have ever had in the simulation. 35-0. We'll take a look at the playoff picture. We're the 4 seed? How the hell? 11-5. Final week of the regular season. It doesn't matter all that much. I should rest some starters, truth be told, but I don't think we're gonna. I would like to win this game because there's a chance, if some weird shit happens, that we could move up in terms of seeding, which could be huge down the road. So we're going to leave the starters in. Hopefully it doesn't bite me in the ass, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter that much. We know we're going to the playoffs, so even if we could finish 12-5, that'd be awesome. After all the struggles we've had in the simulation over the past 4 years with this team, a 12-5 season with losses to some really bad teams would feel really good. However, San Francisco's a really good football team, so I wouldn't expect to win this game. But you never know. We've been playing well. Well, we lose, but it's a close one. Miami finishes 11-6, and we have the Las Vegas Raiders in the playoffs. Let's take a look at the playoff bracket. Kansas City is the 1 seed. Cincinnati the 2. They take on the 7 seed Chargers. We moved up to the 3 seed even with the loss. It's just how tight this race in terms of the division leaders for seeding was, because not only in 1 week the Sentinels moved all the way down from the 2 seed to the 5, and we move up 1 spot to the 3. That is the former Houston Texans is what the Sentinels are. So Tennessee sniped the division away from them. Kansas City, again, the 1 seed. Over on the NFC side, the Eagles are the 1. Atlanta as the 2. No surprise. They simulate so well. Arch Manning and the Green Bay Packers are 3. They take on Dallas. And Jaden Daniels has led Seattle to a playoff spot and a division title. And they take on Bryce Young and the Panthers. The 2028 playoffs. Miami makes it for the first time in 4 seasons. It's the longest playoff drought I've had in a Madden 24 franchise.
Miami has the Dolphins, the greatest football team. We take the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control.